Hello guys, once again welcome to our YouTube channel. So in this topic I am going to revise my cellular adaptation, which is a part of the pathology first chapter. So in cellular adaptation means cell, how it adapt to the environment or in different condition, how a cell will adapt. So basically in cellular adaptation we are going to learn about the hypertrophy, hyperplasia, atrophy, metaplasia and dysplasia. As we know about the atrophy, like if there is any tissue, atrophic tissue, then the size of the tissue is shrinkage, means the cell size is reduced. So in this atrophy, cell size is decreased and also the cell number is decreased. So in atrophy, both the cell number and cell size is decreased. And the mechanism of atrophy is ubiquitin proteasome pathway, which is a most important question, may be asked. So the mechanism of atrophy is ubiquitin proteasome pathway. And in the hypertrophy, hyper means increase. So in hypertrophy there is increase in the cell size, and the transcription factors were like GATA4, NF80 and MAF. From the point of perspective of the pathology, we must remember it. The transcription factor for the hypertrophy were GATA4, NF80 and MAF. And in hyperplasia there is increase in the cell number. So in hyperplasia, increase in cell number. In hypertrophy, increase in cell size. In atrophy, cell size and cell number both were decreased. And in metaplasia, the epithelium will convert from one form to another form. And the dysplasia. So here I am going to give some examples. Like in hypertrophy, the examples were like bodybuilders, skeletal muscles. In the cell size is increased, and basically the skeletal muscle size will increase. So hypertrophy examples were bodybuilders. And breast, during the lactation period, the breast size will increase during the lactation period. And proximal to any kind of obstruction, suppose this is the urinary bladder, here is the stone, and the cell size here will increase. So the example of hypertrophy is bodybuilders, breast lactation, proximal to any kind of obstruction. And the next is hyperplasia. Hyperplasia increases in the cell number. So it is the first example is endometrial hyperplasia. Due to the estrogen, endometrial number of cells will increase, and which lead to endometrial cancer. So basically hyperplasia, endometrial cancer is not a bad prognostic factor. But in the atrophy, when there is endometrial atrophy leads to the endometrial cancer, that is the worst prognosis. So second example of hyperplasia is prostate hyperplasia. So as we know, testosterone will going to convert into dihydrotestosterone by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, and which cause the prostate hyperplasia. So now here one questions arise like how prostate hyperplasia will occur. So dihydrotestosterone will lead to is the reason of prostate hyperplasia, and we can inhibit this pathway by giving the finasteride, which is the inhibitor of 5-alpha reductase type 2. Now next is the atrophy, in which there is decrease in the cell number and cell size both. So if we are not going to use any particular organ of our body, then disuse atrophy will arise due to the decreased supply of the blood, decreased supply of the nerve supply. It also leads to the atrophy, and as I told, endometrial atrophy is also the example of atrophy, which can lead to endometrial cancer, which is the worst prognosis. And in hyperplasia, endometrial hyperplasia also lead to the endometrial cancer, which is not a worst prognosis. So worst prognosis is in the atrophy, endometrial atrophy, which lead to the endometrial cancer, and which is the worst prognosis. And now here is the questions like the organs which show both hypertrophy and hyperplasia, means increase in the cell size and cell number both will occur. So both will occur in the uterus, gravid uterus. Basically here the hypertrophy is more occur if than the hyperplasia. And also the examples were like breast during the puberty and pregnancy. So here we can remember it like P for puberty, P for pregnancy, and P for hyperplasia. So more common is in hyperplasia than the hypertrophy, but these were the examples of both hypertrophy and hyperplasia. But as compared to hypertrophy and hyperplasia, in gravid uterus more common is hypertrophy, and in breast during puberty and pregnancy hyperplasia is more common. PPP. Now the metaplasia. So metaplasia, one tissue is converted into another tissue, and it is the reversible process. So it is the reversible process. Examples like one epithelium is converted into another epithelium, or one mesenchymal tissue is converted into another mesenchymal tissue. And the mechanism of metaplasia is reprogramming of stem cells. Mechanism of metaplasia is reprogramming of stem cells, and the mechanism of atrophy is ubiquitin proteasome pathway. Now, the for examples of metaplasia were like during the chronic smoker or due to the deficiency of vitamin A, our lungs ciliated columnar epithelium is going to convert into squamous epithelium, which is also known as squamous metaplasia, because columnar cells is converted into squamous epithelium. That's why squamous metaplasia. And another example is esophagus, and in the gastroesophageal reflux disease, squamous epithelium is converted into the intestinal columnar epithelium. So in basically, as we know, in the intestine there were goblet cells were present which contain the mucins. So here in esophagus also, the squamous epithelium is converted into intestinal columnar epithelium. So here the this disease is known as Barrett esophagus, and the hallmark for this disease is goblet cells, because goblet cells were present in the intestine, but here the esophagus is converted into the intestinal columnar epithelium. So esophagus is converted into intestinal columnar epithelium, so it means that there are also present of goblet cells, and we can examine it by the mucin by a stain, that is Alcian blue. Alcian blue. So goblet cells contain the mucin, and mucin is identified by a special stain, that is Alcian blue stain. So this is the Barrett esophagus. First one is the squamous metaplasia, and the third example is myositis ossificans. Myo means muscles, ossificans means bone. So muscle is converted into the bone, and example is mesenchymal metaplasia. So all this is about the cellular adaptation. Now next one is the intracellular accumulation, and in the intracellular accumulation we have to study about the pigments, lipid, protein, glycogen and calcium. So first we are taking the pigments. So in pigments we have like melanin, hemosiderin, lipofuscin, copper. So in melanin, basically melanin is a skin pigment. So it is present in skin, hair and also in the substantia nigra of our brain. So in brain also it is present. Normally we remember skin and hair, but we forget about the brain. So we have to remember substantia nigra. Substantia nigra of our brain. So melanin is present in skin, hair and substantia nigra of our brain. And the color of melanin is brown and black. Color of melanin is brown, black, and special stain like here M is melanin. So here M melanin, M for Masson-Fontana stain. So for melanin, special stain is Masson-Fontana stain, and as above I told about the mucin stain, that is the Alcian blue stain, and here melanin, for melanin the stain is Masson-Fontana stain. Next is the hemosiderin. Hem means hemorrhage or hematoma. Sidrin means iron. So due to the hemorrhage or hematoma, there is increased amount of iron or iron deposition. So here the color is golden yellow, and in question we can identify it by refractile. Refractile is written in our question. So color is golden yellow, and the special stain for hemosiderin is Persian blue or pearl stain. For iron the stain is blue, Persian blue or pearl stain. As we see in this photo, there are lot of blue, that is Persian blue pearl stain, and that is the deposition of iron. So this is about the hemosiderin iron deposition. We can do special stain by Persian blue stain, pearl stain. We can identify blue dots in the deposition of iron is identified by blue stain. Now next is the lipofuscin. Lipo means lipid. So here the special stain that used is oil red O stain and Sudan black B stain. So It is wear and tear pigment. It is also known as senile atrophy, mostly found in the aged persons, and brown atrophy occurs. And telltale sign of free radical injury is seen in the lipofuscin, and special stains were oil red O stain and Sudan black B stain. As we see here that there is some yellow, like this material is coming out. So this is the telltale sign, and it is the yellow brown perinuclear is present. Perinuclear is present yellow brown color. So this is the lipofuscin. We can identify it by oil red O stain, or we can identify it by Sudan black B stain. Now the next one is the copper, and if copper is increased, we know the disease name, that is Wilson disease. In Wilson disease there is increased amount of copper, and for the copper the special stains were like copper R. So R for rhodamine, R for rubenic acid. So for copper the special stain is rhodamine and rubenic acid. And in the malaria the pigment is hemajoin. In malaria pigment is hemajoin. And in carbon the pigment is anthracotic pigment, that is the black lungs were seen due to the deposition of carbon. Anthracotic pigment, malaria hemajoin, carbon anthracotic pigments. And for the alkaptonuria there is increased homogentic acid, that is black in color. And when we stand this urine of the patient, then it will show the black color of the urine, black on standing. So in homogentic acid alkaptonuria we see the person's urine is black on standing, and it also deposits in the nails and cartilage. So homogentic acid deposits in nail, cartilage and urine. Now lipids. Most common organ to show lipid deposition is liver, and in heart also it lipid deposition is occur. That's why it is known as triggered or tabby cat appearance. And as I told, for the lipid special stains were oil red O stain and Sudan black B stain. So in oil red O stain we see the red color of the deposition of the lipid, and in Sudan black B we see the black color of the lipid. Now this is all about the pigments. Now next is the protein. Next is proteins. So in proteins we have Mallory hyaline bodies, and in multiple myeloma there is deposition of immunoglobulins. So basically in multiple myeloma depositions were of immunoglobulin. So immunoglobulins were deposited as in Russell bodies or Dutcher bodies. Basically in Russell bodies the deposition is intracytoplasmic, and in Dutcher bodies the deposition is intranuclear. So I remember it like Russia is in the periphery side. So in the periphery means outside the nucleus, periphery. So these were the Russell bodies, as we see dotted. So it is in the intracytoplasmic, not in the nucleus. And in the Dutcher bodies these were in the nucleus, that's why they are intranuclear, and Russell bodies were intracytoplasmic. And these were the deposition of immunoglobulins, and we see immunoglobulin deposition in the multiple myeloma. And Mallory hyaline bodies were seen in the alcoholic hepatitis liver. Next is the glycogen. So glycogen deposit is seen in the glycogen storage disease, or we can say in the diabetes mellitus patients glycogen storage will occur. And the special stain for glycogen is Pass positive stain, and that will show pink color of the stain. So Pass positive pink color will seen in the glycogen storage disease and the diabetes mellitus. So it is seen in the glycogen storage disease and diabetes mellitus. So this is about the glycogen, and this is about the protein. We cover protein, glycogen and pigments. Now next is the calcium deposition. So in calcium, so special stains were von Cosa, algerine red and calcine. Calcium stains, calcium calcine. Or there is one trick like कौन बनेगा करोड़पति, like this. So von Cosa, K for Cosa, and Cosa will show the black color. So Cosa will show black color of the calcium. So here the KBC, so von Cosa stain of the calcium will show black. C for calcium. So KBC, von Kosa show black calcium. So this is the best. Von Kosa stain is the best, and other stains were like calcium, calcine, and alizarin red S. Alizarin red S stain. And the type of calcification were dystrophic calcification and metastatic calcification. So in dystrophic calcification, deposits in the D4 dystrophic, D4 dead and degenerative tissue. So dystrophic calcification, the calcium will deposit in the dead and degenerative tissue, and in metastatic calcification, it will seen in the normal tissue, and the most common is lungs. So here in the dead and degenerative tissue, serum calcium level is the normal, but in metastatic, serum calcium level will increase. So this is the difference between the dystrophic calcification and metastatic calcification. That is, in dystrophic calcification, serum calcium level is normal, and in metastatic calcification, serum calcium level will increase. Now next, the example of dystrophic calcification were rheumatoid arthritis disease, rheumatic heart disease, atheroma, monkey-Burke sclerosis, dead parasites, Samoma bodies. So these were the examples of dystrophic calcification, and monkey-Burke and dead parasites were the examples of related to the blood vessels. So monkey-Burke sclerosis, basically it is the calcific medial degeneration. The other name of monkey-Burke sclerosis is calcific medial degeneration. Medial means in the tunica media, blood vessels in the tunica media. Calcific means calcium. Degeneration means old age. So in old age person, calcium deposit in the tunica media of the blood vessels, and it is monkey-Burke sclerosis. And next one is the dead parasites, rheumatic heart disease, atheroma. These were the example of dystrophic calcification, and Samoma bodies. So Samoma bodies, we basically remember it like P for papillary carcinoma, most common is thyroid, P for papillary carcinoma, S for serous tumor of the ovary, M for meningioma, and M for mesothelioma, mesothelioma, S for serous tumor of ovary, P for papillary carcinoma of thyroid. So by the name of the Samoma, we can remember it. Papillary carcinoma of thyroid, S for serous tumor of ovary, M for meningioma, M for mesothelioma. So these were the Samoma bodies, as we see here, concentric lamellation. So these were the Samoma bodies. Samoma bodies were the calcium deposition, that is dystrophic calcification. So now next one is the metastatic calcification, and it is seen in the normal tissue, as I already told you, and the most common lung tissue involved in it is the lungs, and in this serum calcium level will increase. And it is seen in where the calcium hypercalcification is occur, like in the hyperparathyroidism, calcium level is increased. It is the most common cause of hyperparathyroidism. The most common cause is metastatic calcification. In the cancer of the breast and renal cell, so in breast cancer and renal cell cancer, metastatic calcification will see. And in vitamin D intoxication, due to the vitamin D intoxication, calcium level will increase, and we see the metastatic calcification. And in the sarcoidosis, vitamin D intoxication will occur, and milk alkali syndrome. So this is about the metastatic and dystrophic calcification, and we learn about their examples. In metastatic, hyperparathyroidism, cancers, vitamin D intoxication, sarcoidosis, and milk alkali syndrome will see. And in dystrophic, there is two examples of the blood vessels. Those were the monkey-Burke and dead parasites, and one is Samoma bodies, rheumatic heart disease, atheroma. So this is the type of calcification, dystrophic and metastatic. And the first most important point is that calcium is first deposited in mitochondria in every tissue except the kidney. In kidney, the calcium will deposit in the basement membrane. Now next one is the cellular aging, means how the aging will occur in the cell. So the most important causes were like the free radical injury, and second one is the telomere shortening of the telomeres, ending of the chromosomes, and free radical injury. So basically telomere at the terminal tips of the chromosomes shorten with each cell division. So during each cell division, there is shortening of the ending of the telomeres. So no telomeres until when there is no telomere, then aging will occur. So telomere shortening is prevented by telomerase enzyme, and it will cause the immortality gene. no death will occur by if there is increased amount of telomeres, because it inhibits the telomere shortening. And how to prolong the lifespan? How we can prolong the lifespan of a cell? We can prolong it by increasing the sirtuins level. In sirtuins there is SIRT gene is present, and how we can increase the sirtuins? By decreasing the calorie, means calorie restriction. By doing calorie restriction we can increase the sirtuins, and by consumption of the red wine we can increase the sirtuins. And sirtuins roles in the aging, cancer and diabetes mellitus. A, B, C, D. This is the trick. This one is the trick, that how sirtuins will help. So sirtuins will help in ABCD, aging, cancer and diabetes mellitus. And the premature aging were seen in the Werner syndrome. Here N is Werner syndrome, and in Werner syndrome there is DNA helicase defect. So premature aging is seen in Werner syndrome, and the differential diagnosis of Werner and Wermer is that Werner is premature aging and Wermer is Mann-1 syndrome. Wermer is Mann-1 syndrome, Werner is premature aging. Now next one is free radical injury, which is also known as reactive oxygen species. And in this, as we during the chemicals or toxins poisons, oxygen is converted into the superoxide form, and by the superoxide dismutase enzyme it is converted into hydrogen peroxide, and hydrogen peroxide is converted into the hydroxyl in presence of iron and copper, hydroxyl. And hydroxyl is the most potent form. So hydroxyl in free radical injury, which is the most potent. So the most potent is the hydroxyl group. So hydroxyl group is the most potent. And what is the Fenton reaction? So Fenton, here Fe means iron. So in basically this one, the part which include the iron, means conversion of hydrogen peroxide into the hydroxyl group in presence of iron is the Fenton reaction. We can remember it like this. Fenton, in Fenton we have first two letter, that is iron. So iron pathway, that is in this iron is converted in from Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus. So this is the free radical injury. So now the protection against free radicals. So how we can protect by against the free radicals injury? So we can protect it by increasing the in diet. We can increase vitamin A, C and E, means the increasing level of antioxidant will reduce the free radical injury. And transport proteins like ceruloplasmin and transferrin. And we can also increase it by some enzymes like catalase, superoxide dismutase and glutathione peroxidase. As we know, hydrogen superoxide is converted into hydrogen peroxide. Superoxide is converted into hydrogen peroxide. So here one enzyme is needed, that is superoxide dismutase. So here this enzyme is there, superoxide dismutase. And hydrogen peroxide is converted into the hydroxyl group, and hydroxyl group is the most potent group. So we have to inhibit this pathway. So we can, what we can do? We can do hydrogen peroxide. We can convert it into by the enzyme catalase into water and oxygen form. So we can convert it by catalase enzyme, water and oxygen form. And we can also do it by glutathione peroxidase. It also convert into water and oxygen. If by chance hydroxyl is present, so we can convert by it into the water and oxygen form by the enzyme glutathione peroxidase. And the next one, the last, is the autophagy. Auto means self and phagy means eating, means self eating, cell cannibalism. So this term is given by the scientist Y.O. Shumi, and he won the Nobel Prize in 2016. This is most important. Here we in autophagy we have to only remember that it is given, this term is given by Y.O. Shumi, and he won the Nobel Prize in 2016. And the causes of autophagy were malnutrition, senile due to the aging, or due to cancers, or due to Alzheimer disease. And the gene and markers for autophagy were, so gene were ATGS1, autophagy ATGS1, and the marker is LC3, sorry, the marker is LC3. I hope this is all for today. I hope you all enjoy it and this video is very helpful to you. Thank you.